So in the book, would like to hear from you on, what customer development is and what customer development is not. I know you have this section in your book, and it's kind of exciting how you lay out your points about what it is and what it's not.
Right. Well, so customer development is a way to engage with your customers to learn whether your idea is, valid at all, right? So you're trying to discover whether there is in fact a problem that you're trying to solve and whether the customers feel any passion or pain deep enough around that problem that they would actually seek to use your solution. So the idea really is that you can engage your customers in a way to, one, learn, are you building a product that anybody cares about? And number two, can you reach those people? What is the effective ways of marketing and selling to those people? And that those are not just principles of execution. You can't just go to your toolkit and pull out your marketing and your sales activities and assume that that's what's going to lead your customers to your doorstep. So those things are actually learnable, and you want to learn them before you execute them. So that's really what customer development is about. Discovery is figuring out, is your product at all interesting, and then the validation part of it is you start putting these practices into work, and you're measuring to see whether people are engaged with your product or whether you've got the marketing funnel correct. And then the later two stages are not ones that I'm very active on because it means that you've already nailed it and it's time to scale your company and you're starting to input processes so you can blow up your company. So that's sort of in a nutshell what customer development is. What it's not is, and this is sort of the tricky point for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's not building what your customers ask you to build. So customer development is not about feature mongering. It's not about being a stenographer and asking your customers what would you like them to build. Because if anybody who has worked with customers knows, customers actually often don't know what they want, right? So yeah, they're going to ask for feature X, Y, and Z, but what your job is to understand is why are they asking for those features? So the idea is to empathize, is to understand deeply what the problems and the pains are of your customers, and then it's up to your vision to build the solution. So vision is an important part of entrepreneurship. Everybody knows that. Customer development is not counter to that. It's using your vision in order to figure out what to build based on some of the things that your customer is going through, is experiencing.
So this is really interesting. Can you give us an example of a business case that went on that way?
That actually used customer development or didn't use customer development?
Well, you said you built something that is not, customers do not really know that they need. I have some example on top of my head, but I would like to hear from you on what sort of examples are we talking about here?
Well, sure. So in the book we use, there's a couple of different examples. There's the You Send It application, which was developed in order to send large files. Because sending large files via email is often problematic, and so the founders have this idea, this vision to build that. They go and they talk to their customers. And their customers are going, I just kind of learned FTP or something like that. So the part of the exercise is actually finding who it is that has that problem deep enough, right? So what they did is they stumbled across graphics professionals who actually weren't that technical, and so setting up like secure FTP or some of these other methods to transfer the files was actually very difficult for them. And so they working with graphics professionals were able to find sort of this early adopter community. And then part of that, again, customer development is using those people to figure out where to find them, right? Patrick, my co-author, talks about, fishing. It's like going fishing, right? You have to choose the right bait. You have to choose the right water in order to find the fish that you're actually, the specific type of fish that you're going after, right? So the You Send It guys go, well, there were forums that existed that were filled with graphics professionals, and that was an obvious place to go to cast their line. To start promoting their product. So that's a little example that we used in the book. But like you said, there's sort of numerous examples. Do you actually have one in your mind?
Well, I was thinking about Steve Jobs, creation of the whole, change of the music industry by itself. It was just something that nobody thought that they needed, but it's out there and everybody's just using it like crazy now.
Right. Well, so what's interesting is that I've got this little chart that I'll include in the next book that the more disruptive your technology is, and in Steve Blank in his book would call this like a new market. The more disruptive the technology is, the less you can believe what your customers say they will do or what they want. So, a classic question that entrepreneurs try to ask is like, will you pay for this solution? And it's very difficult to believe what your customers will say. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh yeah, I'd pay for it," and then when you put the product in front of them, they don't pay for it. And then sometimes the opposite happens, right? So the more disruptive, if you're building something that's brand new, the less able you are to take literally what the customer says. On the other end of the spectrum is what Clayton Christensen calls sustaining innovation, and that's when you're actually improving performance. You're using technology to improve performance or lower prices, but the market is really well known, and you're selling to the same customers. And so in that instance, you actually can believe much of what your customer says, and that's actually where classic product management works pretty well. As long as you're still diving in and understanding why customers are asking for specific features, you can actually believe more what they say. So the real dilemma ends up being, and the tough part for entrepreneurs is if you're doing something new, how do you engage customers in a way that you can actually get learning out of them? If what I say is true, you can't believe what they say. And so that is actually a tough nut to crack, and you have to be creative, and you have to try to get them to talk about their problems and talk about what they're passionate about, and what you're looking for there is an emotional connection to something that they're talking about, which is a signal to dive deeper. And what you're not doing in those conversations is going, "Hey, Basil, I've got this great idea, don't you think this is a really cool idea?" Because, if you're friends with the person, you're going to go, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea," or you're going to be somebody that doesn't know him and you're busy and you're going to go, yeah, it's a great idea, get out of my hair. So the key is that if you're having these conversations, don't pitch your solution first. Try to dive in and understand the life of your customer with the problems that they are currently having. So